Hi, this is Laurie from To the Trade with Nile Johnson. Hi, Nile.
Hi.
And we have Christina Richardson today. Hi, Christina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am so excited to be talking to you. We became friends a few years ago when I was working on your podcast. So it's a full
Yeah.
circle moment to be having you on ours, which is so exciting. And for those who don't know, Christina, you're a Swedish and American designer. You have 25 years business experience in construction, international business, interior design. You work on projects here in the US as well as projects in Europe. And you have some great content that you've also done. You have a podcast, you've been on other podcasts, you're a TV presenter, and you've done a lot of different projects in the world of design. So you're a great guest for us to have. We're so excited to have you here. So let's start with talking a little bit about your journey. Why in the heck did you come here to the US to do design?
It's a long story, but at the same time, a short story because my husband got a job offering in Michigan and we both were in the mining industry at the time. I've always had my design business on the side, but I was in mining because of the money.
Sure. Money's good.
Sure. Yeah. So when he got that job offer, I was like, the heck with this. I'm pursuing my dream. And we moved to the US. I got a degree in interior design. I'm a construction engineer. I have a construction engineering background. That was easy for me. And I've been working with design my entire life. Yeah, that's how I ended up in the United States. And I've been here ever since.
Yeah. Okay. And has it been a challenge at all transitioning?
I mean, a few cultural things like, in Sweden, Swedes are so meticulous about time, in particular about time. And so in the beginning, when I was like with the contractor, okay, see you at 7. And I was there at like 6:59. I was like, hello. And everybody showed up around 7:30. And I was like, okay. It wasn't worth the speeding ticket. Oh yeah.
No.
Things like that. But overall, I think the United States is a very good country for business and small business compared to Sweden. Like less bureaucracy. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when I started my business.
And you've really tapped into a lot of different markets too, because we've been talking about how you were able to tap into the community of Designer Society of America, and then later
Mhm.
on design community. You really
Yeah.
got in there and made connections and have been participating in shows. So you're doing
Mhm.
everything that you can to educate yourself about this market. What's one thing that you think is pretty great about this market as far as like product or availability, those kinds of things?
Mhm. The whole openness of America, like America is like a huge country with a lot of smaller countries within it, to be honest. And to be able to access things from New Mexico or Michigan or without any problems, without any customs tolls, anything like that, that's amazing. Because
Yeah.
that is not the case in Europe. Unfortunately, it sounds like it, but it's not.
Right. Yeah, there
Wow.
were some major supply chain issues. We were talking to another designer not long ago who is in Europe, and you think it's going to be a 6 week to get it from the country over. It's not necessarily that's how that goes. So it
No.
is a unique experience that United States is so big and so
Yes.
varied with so many different manufacturers, and getting product can be easier.
Yes.
Do you find that you're getting clients that really like your Scandinavian heritage? Are you finding that they want that Scandi look and design in the design that they're looking for you?
I do think a lot of people are looking for the way Scandinavian thinks about functionality and simplicity. And it also depends on where I work in the US. For instance, right now I'm in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. They're not very impressed with Scandinavian Scandinavian design. And that is just because they have this gorgeous architecture and design themselves. Like fits so well in these surroundings. But if you look at, for instance, when I worked in Toronto or Michigan or New York, There are people who really want that Scandinavian look. So
Yeah.
it depends on, again, America is a huge country. Just it's not for everybody, and it's not
Right.
for every geographical locations.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're still managing projects over in Sweden too. So
Yeah.
that has been really exciting. You had a big project that I know closed out last year
Mhm.
and you got photographed. And how did that end up going? I know that was a little bit of a, it was a little tricky at the end there.
Yeah, the actual project was a smooth ride. I had the best contractor. He was a former architect who started a construction business.
Wow.
That was just a dream for an interior designer. We were talking about the same things, and it was an historical renovation as well. That was smooth sailing, and I had my one of my best friends, he started a carpentry up in the northern part of Sweden. I'm from the polar bears. I'm up there. Anyways, and he started carpentry up there, very high-end luxury, and so I collaborated with him with all the trim work, all the millwork, kitchen, everything. But yeah, that was an amazing project. But then the photography part was a disaster. But so I hired a photographer. She was a mess, uh, terrible, and I was almost having a panic attack towards the end of the day. And then a couple of months ago, I reshot it with this amazing photographer, a young
Oh,
guy, and
wonderful. Wonderful.
I got the pictures yesterday, and I almost started crying. For all you
Course.
designers out there, make sure you vibe with your photographer.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to ask you for sneak peek at some point because I've been hearing about the project for so long. I definitely want to see it for
of
sure.
course. Yeah.
Your motto is your home is the showroom of your soul.
Mhm.
How do you ensure that each design authentically reflects your client's personalities? What does that look like for you?
I try, or we, all of us involved, try to really get to know the clients. And I do think that most designers work this way and really get to know them on a personal level. Sometimes we get to know that they're expecting a baby before their parents. Like it's on that level. And I honestly do believe in that statement because sometimes when you walk into a room and if you get to know a person, for instance, and they're wonderful and great in every way, and then you walk into their space and it's a mess, you're like, something's going on here. Something
Right.
isn't right. And that's actually what I mean. And I do think the other way around too. If you have this space and you don't feel 100% when you come home, it's like a charging battery for you. It works both ways. And so that's why I really em- try to emphasize the well-being and that's personal space.
You learn so much about a person, I think, in their surroundings too. What books they read and what their favorite knickknacks are and their little pictures of their family. And you get an idea of who that person really is and the time that it takes to do a design project. It gets to a point where you know them so well that you can make
Mhm.
decisions for the design based on because you can embody them
Yeah.
in a way. So knowing what they would choose for themselves. And that's really great marketing too. That's really great part of that process. And you have a red thread concept. What is that?
Um, it's just that I try to pick the raisins out of the cake. Is that what you say? How you say it? Yeah. Anyways, from the stories that my clients tell me, travels they made, colors they like, what their grandma did, all these things, and I try to kind of bring that story through the house. Okay, maybe you have a picture of your grandma in your entryway, and then maybe her favorite color was, I don't know, orange. Then you have an orange door somewhere, or I usually have 4 or 5 threads that I carry through that I do think maybe not for a visitor. It's that wholesome, but for the people who live there, I think that it is wholesome to be told that story every day. Yeah.
It's those little reminders,
Mhm.
even if
Yeah.
it's not like a conscious memory. We have a I can tell you in my kitchen, one vacation that I went on when my daughter was little was the Outer Banks, which is not too far
Mm.
from you. And we stayed in Corolla, which was like really right on the beach. And you had to get there by with a 4x4 truck. And you like there were no neighbors. It was really difficult to get to the store because people were literally getting stuck in the sand. They'd have tow trucks that would drive up and down the beach because people got so that's
Okay.
the only way to get to your place, and people would constantly get stuck in the sand. And so we were very isolated for that week, but it was really, I think it was 2 weeks. That was really relaxing. And there were like wild horses on the beach every
Right.
day. We saw dolphin pods go by. We had dragonflies. So there's little things in my kitchen that remind me of that vacation that it's not like a theme, but you definitely if kind of
Yeah.
situation
Yeah.
about the
Exactly.
colors and we have a picture of a horse and there we have a dragonfly. There's just
Yep.
little things of it that remind me and my husband of that vacation, but to the outside world, it's not like a themey, like Outer Banks beach kitchen or anything like that. It just has that thread kind of situation that you're talking about that makes me feel that way, makes me
Yeah.
feel that relaxed,
Yeah.
cut off from the
Exactly.
world kind of situation. Yeah. So you are also really a big proponent on balancing functionality with aesthetics. It's something that you talk about a lot. How are some ways that you do that with clients and emphasize that as part of the design journey?
I think I ask why quite a lot. Like I try to for instance, I had a client in Toronto. For anyone who had lived in a big city, it's very cramped. Cramped, cramped, cramped. And this client was building a new house, and we had a meeting with the architect, and he wanted like a entry from the garage with laundry and all that. And at the same time, he wanted like a big entry. And these two rooms, like this mud room and this entry, it took up 50% of the like entry level. And I was like, Do you really need both? Think about it. Could we make an entryway that is beautiful, that has all the functionality of your mudroom and save this much space? So we started working on that and we made this beautiful, functional entryway with laundry, drop zone, places where they can put their glasses, boxes for shoes, all that, like hooks on the walls, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful mirrors, everything. And they're so happy about it. So
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that, you have to start asking yourself, do we really need this? Do we really need, if we have limited space, can we make it more functional?
That's a really great
Right.
point because I think sometimes, not always, but it's difficult, especially for a younger designer, to push back and
Yeah.
say, that's not necessarily the way I would space plan this area because,
Hmm.
and I know that because we want to please the client, right? So we want to please them. So if they're like, this is what I want, it's so often I think that we're geared to give them what they want instead of saying, "That's not really what you want."
Yeah.
And not in that necessarily that way, but that's not really what you want.
Mm.
You want parts of that, you want the function of it, but you don't necessarily need you want some of this space to be yours too. So, I love that
Mm.
you push back on those conversations so that you move forward what
Yeah.
really is driving the client. That's
Mhm.
really smart. That's really smart.
Mm.
So, we'll get into a little bit of I'm sure that there are a lot of listeners who dream of having a project in Europe. What is that like from a management standpoint? And then I'd like to talk to you a little bit about pricing too and how that
Mhm.
differs.
Managing, I work a lot remotely as it is in the United States. It's a huge country. So it's not that different from working remotely for, let's say, I have 3 projects in Nevada right now, and I'm in Hilton Head. So it's a lot of FaceTiming, Zooming, lots of blueprints going back and forth, pictures and all that. And so it's not that much different from working in Europe. That said, it is more, I would say it's more important to have a really good contractor who listens to you,
Right.
and who is not sidetracking you in Europe, because there is a little less control over the pond, so to say. But so that's really important, but that's important here too.
Right. Right. And if you're
Um,
great at managing those projects long distance, then I would think that it wouldn't really make too much
doesn't
of a difference, whether it's in Nevada or if it's back in Sweden.
no,
So
yeah, and I only visit my projects like maybe in the beginning, in the middle, and towards the end. It's not, you don't have to be there. And I honestly do think they run smoother when I'm not showing up all the time.
sure. How about the finance part of it? Are you making more money here in the US, or are the projects in Europe a little bit more profit margin? What does that look like for your
N-
business?
No, I make more money here in the
Here.
US.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Um, a- and it is because so far I've been working in the Scandinavian countries mostly, like Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and they have a very high tax pressure on income. So there aren't as many very, very wealthy people there, to be
Right.
quite honest. Yeah. There aren't as many really, really poor people either. So
Right. Right.
it's more of,
Yeah.
that's, I would say, yeah. People don't use interior designer the same way in at least the northern part of Europe.
Ah, okay. So how
Yeah.
what is that difference? What does that mean?
They're not used, they are more used to doing that type of things themselves. Like and they're pretty good at it, but everything looks the same. The ones that contact me they are wealthy, but not as wealthy as my American clients. But work wise, like once you get the wealthy client, it's basically the same type of work you do. I would say in the title interior designer is not really the same in the Nordic and in Europe as it is in the United States, and people aren't used to that title. You have interior architects, but they work with together with at an architectural firm,
Right.
will color on the walls or whatever. So that glue between furniture and architecture isn't really in their culture.
Oh, really? That's interesting. That's really
Yes.
interesting.
So what I usually, yeah, I feel like there's a bit the people who contact me usually they've been living in the US or they are very international clients. Yes.
Ah, all
Yeah.
right. Wow, that's
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um, have
Might be
you
different
had
in the South though. It might be different in Spain. I've never worked in Spain, so.
Sure, sure. I think we
Mhm.
have a we had you interviewed, of course, Kelly Ellis, who does
Yes. Mhm.
it in Spain too. So
Yeah.
it can be very different. Over the decades of working in this industry, what significant changes have you observed in interior design in general, and have you applied them for your business?
I think looking back just 10 years, I feel like interior design gets more and more personal.
I hope so. Gosh, Nile and I have had this conversation before about people who constantly want to design their house for the future buyer. Those the
Mhm.
gray everything. Before that, it was the beige everything.
Yeah.
It's exciting, and I have been listening to reports of different people saying personalization is going to be really bigger and bigger as we go forward. People are going to really start designing for them for their own experience and living in their homes in a better way. If they love blue bedroom, they're going to have a blue bedroom, like a bright blue bedroom, if
Yeah.
that's what they want. And I'm here for it because I just
Yeah.
felt like we're going down a path of,
Boredom,
have
boring stuff.
boring,
Boredom.
boring. Everybody looks
Boredom.
the same. And,
I
beige
It's
is
so
beige,
frustrating.
gray, 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 gray. There was a while that I like just for fun, I like to look on real estate apps and I
Mm.
just browse house listings. It's just fun.
Oh,
It's a
draining.
habit now. I just do
I
it every
thought I
day.
was the only one that did that.
I
No, I've
love it.
looked.
I love it.
I'm addicted to Zillow.
I
Yeah.
love it. And then if I'm a Trulia girl, I love on Trulia, that one.
Yeah.
But I like to look at, and I will measure when I see a house that I was like, oh, somebody here either was a designer
Mhm.
or hired a designer. You
Oh,
can
100.
tell
You
because
could.
it's like a gem. And then I'll track that one. Whenever I see it, I'll favorite
Mhm.
and I'll track how long it takes to sell it. And it's crazy to me how fast the
Yep.
houses that have that interior design look
Yes.
go. Like they're snapped up like quickly
Yeah.
versus other houses where I see they're cool, they have a lot of potential, they have good bones, but they definitely didn't have a designer and they will sit on the market for so
I
Yeah.
know.
especially those houses that follow the advice of some of this, like everything should be gray. All those people who went with the gray floors, you know what I mean? Oh my goodness. If I see it, I'm just
Terrible.
like,
Oh,
what did you do? What did you
yeah, that's
Idiot.
Yeah.
terrible. But you know what? On the other hand, I have a client right now, and he's wonderful. Like, he has something with his eyes, so he can basically only see blue as a color. He loves blue, and he wants everything blue. And he's, I'm designing this for me. We're gonna design this
I
for me.
love that.
Yes, but now I'm the one like, hey, maybe we should,
Have something
maybe we should.
contrast blue. We gotta
Let's pull back a little bit, right?
Let's
Yeah.
pull back a little bit.
just doesn't we don't want you living in this Smurf village.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
Mm.
it. What about
Wow.
sustainable design practices? Are you doing anything with sustainability?
I'm trying, but
Yeah,
it.
it's hard. It's a hard sell. Honestly, we
Yeah.
sustainability, we've been beating that drum for I want to say 10 years and
Yeah.
clients don't they just
No, they don't
sometimes
want to pay
don't
for it.
care.
No,
Yeah, they don't
No.
want to
they don't want to pay for
pay
it.
for sustainability. They'd like it if it is sustainable. Sure.
Mhm.
If that just comes with it and it's not more expensive to do sustainability. But ultimately when you're ripping something out and putting something in, it's how sustainable are you no matter what. But I do love that we're talking about biophilia and we're talking about neuroaesthetics and all of these wonderful
Mhm.
things that I do think people really need to embrace that because it really can change your life. But it's at the
Mhm.
same time, it's a difficult sell for someone who doesn't like really they love design, they're valuing it because they're paying for a designer, but they just love that in the terms of getting a project done for themselves. They don't necessarily love it in terms of caring about geeking out about it, geeking out about the science behind it. So I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how those things
I'm trying
will
to stay
play
away
out.
from LVP flooring. That's basically, and I
Yeah.
tried to, educate my clients about that. But
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
some people just want it. They just want LVP
Sure.
flooring. So,
Sure. So what is when you let me just start like when you walk into a space and you're getting your that you're going to be designing for a client, what is the first thing that informs you about the decisions that you're going to be making? What are you looking for in that project process?
okay, Laurie, you're gonna think I'm a nutcase right now because
No.
it's I can't answer that. People ask me that all the time, and I cannot answer it. I don't know my process because sometimes I walk into a space, and you're gonna definitely think I'm a nutcase now because sometimes I almost see a video in my head of what it could be. Like, it's like color and all. It's the weirdest thing. But sometimes I don't see anything. I look at it and I'm like, mm. And at the beginning when I was new at this, I panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do it. What I've learned is that if it doesn't come to you immediately, um, you talk to your clients and you get to know them and you just leave it be. Like, leave it,
Mhm.
because at some point it's going to just hit you like an avalanche. Like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm going to do. Oh, holy moly,
Yep.
this is what I'm going to do. Do you recognize it? Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I honestly have to say, I don't know how it works.
Yeah,
I think
I
It
it's some
just
think
sort of
does.
it's
defect.
just like those writers, right? When you get writer's block in the beginning, and then
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes
Maybe.
that light bulb moment of, okay, this is and it was staring you in the face the entire time, but you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it. I don't think people truly who aren't creatives understand that creative process isn't so quick and it isn't like convincing right away. It's not like there are designers, and I'm sure every designer, you walk into a house, you're like, oh, little things
Mhm.
immediately. Oh, this could change. This wall
Yeah.
could open that space. Like
Yeah.
you could rearrange the furniture probably in your
Yeah.
head, but that doesn't mean that's the solution for the client. That to do it like, okay, we'll just do this and this is so insulting to the process of design too, because it
Mm.
really does take a lot of thought and a lot of guessing, second guessing. It's not as quick as make a pathway and go down it right away. Like, this is what
Yeah.
we're going to do. We're going to do this, you know? So I love that you said that because it's a vulnerable thing to say. You don't have all the answers because I feel like clients expect that. Like, you're going to
Yes.
walk in and you're just going to know what to do about their design
Yeah.
dilemmas.
Mm.
And it's not necessarily creativity doesn't work like that. And if you did give them an answer, it most likely would be a bad answer because it's just your first like off the cuff idea. It's not necessarily a thought out plan. So I
Yeah.
love that you said that. When you are managing the client's expectations for that process, how it can take a little bit longer to figure that out. How are they feeling during how are you managing the client expectation during that so that they feel like you're on to something, that you're moving
Mm.
the project forward, even though if you don't have a cohesive plan immediately.
I mean, I first meeting, I always ask a lot of questions to understand, because usually the client have been thinking about how and what they can do.
Sure.
Well, I try to listen to them and their line of thought. And sometimes they're spot on. Sometimes they're a little in the blue.
Sure.
Um, but I tell them as it is. Okay, I'm gonna give this some thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you first came to North America, you went to Canada first, correct?
Mhm.
And wasn't there some sort of I think we discussed this in in your you were just doing this in your podcast. There was some sort of financial stuff that went on with taxes that were a little bit tricky.
A little bit. I had
Yeah.
like 101% tax one year
Yeah,
because
percent tax. Nile.
I had my business in Sweden, the US, and Canada, and all the three countries wanted us to pay taxes up front, and then that you get the money back.
Oh,
That's a rough path.
that must have been so
Oh my
scary.
gosh.
No, it
So,
was.
so scary.
I was
Right.
like, "Oh my god, what am I doing?" But, yeah, with a good accountant, you might avoid these situations, so get a
Right,
good
right.
accountant, everybody. Mhm.
Yes. It's worth it. It's worth it
Yep.
with a good accountant for sure.
Yep.
Um, when you work with a client, do you get into the storytelling process with them? How do you romance the client into the products that you're choosing, into the quality of the to the trade product lines? Like, how do you work that in?
Eh, I mean, people want to tell their story. That is not something that you have to work really hard on. If you know that your grandma's color was orange, um, I can tell them like, I think we should put something orange in the architecture just to remind you of her every day.
Sure.
And then maybe not, and then say like something in line with orange can be a scary color. And especially for men, you can say something like, maybe we could paint a window in burnt sienna, not use
Not use
the
the
word
word
red,
orange.
orange, not
Red.
use,
Yeah.
not use the
I love it.
primary
I love it.
colors because usually men or even women, but if I say, okay, I think we should paint this bench red, people are like, oh, red. But if you use words like a burnt cayenne, they're like, yeah,
Mhm.
same color.
I
Yeah.
know. I love that. No.
Persimmon.
A
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
little psychological trick right there so that
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
helping them get adjusted to the color by using language that it makes them feel an emotion, which is exciting.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, you're right now, you've been in Vegas, you've been on the island. Like, how are you handling, are you putting any of the typical Scandinavian approach to organization into these different styles? Are you implementing some of the Scandinavian design in different ways into more traditional Southern or Vegas style projects?
Yeah, I would say the function, especially when it comes to bathrooms, kitchens. For instance, for kitchens, for instance, in Sweden, we use a lot of open storage. We hang our pots on the walls because it's easy to reach. You don't have to look for them. We
Right.
use open shelves. And I know it's been like a trend, the open shelves here in the US. It's not a trend in Sweden. We always had that because it's more practical. I mean, you still got the storage, but you see it and you don't have to deal with the cabinetry. Things like that, the functionality, I think, is what I implement most. Also, I do think, and this is just because I'm Swedish, I don't mix patterns as much as maybe
Right.
other people do. I
Oh,
try to be,
in the South, right? I mean,
eh,
pattern, pattern, pattern.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I have a stripe somewhere, I am very cautious. I don't mix them that much. I try to keep it a little more simple. So that's usually what I do. I color block more than I do think American designers do. Like,
Are you into that the color drenching trend at all? Like where they're drenching the color in the whole room, basically, like ceiling, walls, everything in
and
one color?
and I mm, I do think it looks good on in a picture, but I do think people need contrast.
Yeah.
Uh, so I do think it's a trend that's going to pass really quickly because people, if you go into a room with everything blue or everything brown, or it's going to, you've, you need contrast.
Right. Sure, sure.
Mhm.
Where do you get your inspiration? Travel or shows?
You, Laurie, it's all
Ah,
you.
yay.
Yeah, I don't
We
know.
try to bring it. We try to bring it with interior design community.
No, I don't know. Same thing here. I can get super inspired by a scarf if I see a nice pattern or a good color combo. I know everything. Every time I go over the bridge to go to Hilton Head, we drive over the saltwater marshes, and sometimes the colors are just
Mhm.
like the deep turquoise and like the burnt sienna uh, grass, and it's just the color combinations are amazing. I don't know. It's
Now
everywhere.
you spent some time there too, right? You vacation
Mm.
in Hilton
Every
Head
summer.
every
Every
summer.
summer, a couple of weeks.
On
I
Hilton
love it
Head?
there.
On
Yep,
Yes.
Hilton
I
Head?
love it there.
Yeah.
Yep, we go every summer. I love it there. Yep, yep, yep. We always stay in Sea Pines. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, every summer.
Now you have a
Oh,
friend there.
I have a friend. Are you
You
coming
guys will
soon?
go to lunch.
Actually, yeah, it's funny. We are coming soon. We just booked to come for a spring break.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
I'm here.
yeah,
I'm here.
yes. Yeah, so we'll have to connect.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
It'll be
that
fun.
would be so fun. That would be so fun. What has been the most rewarding part of running your design business?
I would say all the people you meet. Like, for instance, all the get-togethers, like KBIS, we had a
Oh
blast.
gosh, we did have a blast. We did have a blast. A good time.
Or
We're actually
yeah,
Nile and I are going back to Vegas in a few weeks for Las Vegas market, and it always a
mm,
good time there. And then KBIS is
Yeah.
the next month too. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
be really good.
all the people you meet, everybody's so friendly and everybody helps each other. And it's just, I love this community so much.
Yeah, yeah. It's been great that I would say that there are designers who've been in the US market for a long time that might have felt like there wasn't always this feeling of sharing in their career. So I have designers that have been in the industry for a really long time and I really think social media changed the game for the world of design as far as
Or,
people being able to share more because it was really difficult, I think, when you were stuck sharing in your local community because it's a really scary, vulnerable thing to share that you might have a problem with a contractor or you might have a problem
mm,
with a client and you're in the same community with your competitors. You don't want word to get back if you're complaining about a client or if you're complaining about a contractor because it's a small world. And I think
yeah,
that was preventing those things from happening. And now with social media in general, I think people are allowed to have those conversations because they can have conversations with people that are not in their market at all and
yeah.
share information. So you came at a really good time where people are a
I
lot
did.
more.
I
You
did. I
did.
sure.
And the stories I've heard about the way it used to be are
Mm,
really, I can tell you that when I started interior design community, I just was very naive to it. I had no idea that was something that was happening, which is why I think interior design community was successful because here I come without any idea that this is going on. And I'm just like, hey, this is how you do this and this is how you do that. And I remember people being suspicious about it. Like, why is she
what?
sharing so much information? What is she up to? I was like, I don't know. This is just, I don't have any reason why I shouldn't share
No,
information.
no,
Yeah.
no.
I love it. Do you have a design trend you love right now?
I'm not
Or
very
hate?
much
Or hate?
hate. Yes, I really have a trend that I like. I don't know if it's a trend or if it's just something that I got reminded of. But I was traveling in England this summer, and we came to Edinburgh, and we stayed at the Witchery, like an old hotel. It was like walking into a Harry Potter world. It was amazing,
Oh, so
and
Mm.
cool.
the bathtub had like real drapes around it. It was like it wasn't, um, a plastic little thing. It was like velvet drapes with tassels. And
Oh
then it
my
was
goodness.
plastic behind it, of course. But I was like, I fell in love immediately. I was like, shower curtains, velvet. Yes. I
Gonna
was like,
make it
and
fair.
then I think AD or was it El Decor that said it like shower curtains are in. And I'm like, yes, I'm here for it. But the velvet kind or
Right?
corduroy, whatever, just heavy drapes. Maybe not too practical, but oh my gosh, it looks gorgeous.
Is there a trend you're over after seeing it too much?
Well, you mentioned the gray floors. That I've
Yeah.
never been a big fan of those.
Over boucle, aren't you? I don't know. I just
Oh
am
yeah.
over I'm over it already. I
I
think
think
I've
if you
just
have
seen too much of
pets,
it.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
I can't even imagine it with my dog. We didn't let our dog on the furniture for a while, and then we gave up when the kids moved out. We were like, "All right, I guess," because she just lays on it anyway, but she would do it at night, and then when we would come downstairs, she's like getting off the couch, and we're
I
just
was
like, "All right, she's our last baby. We should probably let her be on the couch." But now she just like like lays and rolls around on it and sometimes like scrapes her nails over
Mhm.
all over it. And I'm just like, this was boucle, I'd be in big trouble here. Like
Yeah,
she
yeah,
puts it on everything. I don't know how. Is there one piece of advice that you wish that you had received when you started your design career?
maybe at the beginning, socialize
So-
more.
Yeah.
Be out there, go to the markets, meet people. Don't be protective of what you know. Share because people are going to share with you and you're going to all going to benefit. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that, yeah.
And those personal connections too of
Mhm.
like with the brands and with other designers, that is worth its weight in gold. I always tell people go to the shows, young designers especially that might not know that even exists.
Mhm.
Go make those connections, have a relationship with people in this industry. You never know where that those pieces come together and how they play out in your career, in the career of a designer. I've had lots of times where we have interior designers who share like jobs on
Oh, yeah.
in our Instagram. We'll share it and then we'll find out that another design community member got the job like sometimes. And it's just you never know. It's these are just little connections we're all trying to make.
Mhm.
This is a kind of a fun one. If you weren't an interior designer, what would you be? We already did mining, like in the mining industry, but what
I,
other than
I would probably be a lawyer.
a lawyer?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Social justice kind of thing or criminal or
I would
like
probably be a business lawyer. Like,
yeah, business lawyer.
mm, yeah,
That'd be fun.
that is
That's a lot of
actually,
paperwork. A lot of paperwork, but
yeah.
yeah. Is there a legacy that you would like to leave to the interior design industry? Is there something you want to leave your mark doing? You have some big dreams. So I know you want to do some TV work.
I
Uh,
do.
yeah.
But that, yeah, it would be fun to do TV. I'm not gonna lie. But I do think I would love to design like a small hotel in the city center of Copenhagen or Vienna or even Stockholm, like just a small boutique hotel.
Oh, that would be a fun project. That would
Yeah.
be a really fun project. Thank you so much, Christina. This has
Mhm.
been so wonderful. We've had a wonderful time chatting with you, and I know our community will be able to connect with you and learn a lot from you in years to come.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.